So I remember my first time walking in the Kovars at Carmichael, and I shook Kiyoshi Kovar's hand. And I was a brand new white belt, and I just thought, wow, this is the man himself shaking my hand, and I felt just a chill from shaking his hand. And he said, "Hey, sir, welcome to the school." And I was like, wow, I can't believe he, personally welcomed me. And I always hope to be able to do that someday. I started training on a regular basis, got along, and almost then I got about orange belt. And I had Mr. Freelove ask me if I'd like to be an instructor someday. And I remember it's really important to me. I'll never forget what happened after that, because what happened after that is he said, "I'm going to set you up with a chance to talk with Tim Kovar, Dave Kovar's brother." And what happened was Tim Kovar sitting there, and he's trying to be professional, and then he says, "Well, why is it that you want to teach martial arts for us?" And I say, "Well, I'm kind of a freak, sir. I do martial arts everywhere. I just do it everywhere. I'm like up against walls and just randomly in the air." And you could watch his business persona melt just a little bit as he says, "Oh, so you're like my brother." And I'll never forget that. I knew, oh man, I'm in the right place. This is what I need to do, is teach martial arts. And then all of a sudden, here comes ProMac. So ProMac, to learn to become an instructor. And for some reason, I got the wrong time. I come in, I'm thinking, oh, wow, there's nobody out here waiting to get in. And I go in the door, and all of a sudden, I'm welcomed to a room of about 35, maybe I'm exaggerating, 30, 35 black belts and above. I think there were some 3rd and 4th degrees, and I'm an orange belt. And I don't think they know I'm an orange belt until I take my rain gear off, and Kiyoshi's talking to me like, "Hello, sir," and he's doing everything he can to try to make me not look bad, but I know he's thinking it. I know I would have been. And he's like, "Meeting was an hour ago. It started. We've got another hour left." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, sir. I thought it was at 5 o'clock and it was 6 o'clock, something like that." And I'm walking in, and I never forget. I just had like this feeling like everybody was watching me. I'm like, I'm an orange belt with a bunch of black belts. Okay, sit down. Don't say anything. Just sit and observe. And that's what I was doing. I'm sitting there and observing. And eventually it turned out well. I got to the end of it, and I was told by Tim Kovar, "Okay, you're doing great. We're going to send you over to Madison. And you're going to be working with the amazing Shion Groovy." And man, I just loved working with him. Great guy, honor, integrity, does everything he can to do the right thing. And I still strive to be just like him in that regard. One of the things I remember, one of the biggest moments working with over there was Mr. Domingo. And Mr. Domingo and I'll never forget, we were sitting in the back of his truck, and I'm trying to figure out how he does it. I'm going, "You know what, man, I'm never going to be able to teach a little samurai class like you." And he says to me, and I'll never forget when he said this to me, because I still don't know if I'll ever get there, but he says, "Man, I'm going to make sure you're a better instructor than me and Shion Groovy combined." And I'm like, wow, that's like the legend right there. That's better than anybody. And he's like, "No, I'm going to do it." He says, "We're going to make it happen." And then, after a while, Mr. Domingo went his way, and Mr. Groovy left. But before Mr. Groovy left, I'll never forget, I was sparring with him, and we were soaked with sweat. And he looks at me, and we just got done pounding each other, and he says, "Have you ever thought about being a manager of your own school?" And I remember thinking, yeah, when I'm 50 years old, cool, I'll be a manager. Someday 30 years down the road of working for this great company. And sure enough, he says, "Okay, we're going to go forward with that." And as Mr. Groovy left and Mr. Domingo left, I'm told, "Okay, you're going to go to Laguna." And at Laguna, I got to work with Mr. Paul Duarte and Sensei Kelly. And wow, what a combo. I mean, that school was great for its own ways. Wonderful people. One of the things you just cannot miss when you go into Laguna is the lightning bolt of positive energy that is Sensei Kelly. He cannot, the amount of energy he has is inhuman. And I remember watching how he taught Little Samurai, and he gave me feedback, and he'd be like, dude, watch what I'm doing with this. Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I'll never forget when he did it like that. I was like, okay, I'll learn, And if I did anything wrong, he'd come up to me and he'd be like, "Dude, don't ever do that again." And I was like, okay, never do that again. He taught me a lot. I owe a lot to Sensei Kelly. And then after a while, a couple months after being at Laguna, I was called driving to work by Shion Groovy. And Sean Ruby says to me, hey sir, you know that manager spot I told you about? I need you to manage Truxel. And I'm thinking, wow, 49 years ahead of schedule. This could be great, no matter what happens. But I'm thinking, you know what? I don't want to take this if I'm going to do a bad job. I says, is there anybody else? There is nobody else. He says, I need you. I'll never forget. Sean Ruby, the guy I respected, asked me he said, I need you to take Truxel. I said, okay, I'll take it. And I go in, and I'm thinking, cool, I get to go to Truxel. And I'm looking around for the school, and there's really nothing there. It's just a bunch of buildings, and there's a horse trailer with a Kovar sign on it. And I walk over, and I'm like, what is this? And I notice there's mats inside of it. And I'm like, they do a pretty good job turning a horse trailer into like a little mini dojo. And then my first orientation before the school even opened its doors was Shelby and Dylan. And I'll never forget. I didn't know what I was doing. It just came from the heart. I was just like, okay, we do karate, we bow. This is where we're going to have our karate school, even though it's not really there yet. I guess eventually it's going to be there. And they were on board. No, this sounds good. And the reason I bring them up is they're kind of a representation of all the white belts that started with me. And they're still there. They're junior black belts. They're on the demo team. Future stars. Red and black attack. Who knows what they'll do. Maybe they'll even become instructors. And as the school's going and getting, better and better, there's points in time where people are gone. And I'm by myself with Christy. Now, Christy started out as a parent watching. And I'll never forget, I had to sit down with her and say, you ought to try training in the martial arts. And she said, no, that's for my kids. Her kid was training at the time. Eventually she did it, and thank God she did, because if she hadn't, I don't know what would have happened at that point, because here it is. We're there. I think we were at about 100 plus students at the school, and it's me and her. I remember going, okay, Christy, this is how you fill out this form. Push-ups, go! And the class is over here, and I'm talking to her, and I'm telling her how to fill out an agreement, and we're doing the best we can. That's for darn sure. She's still training. She's a black belt, and I'm really proud of her. And as I'm going along, all of a sudden I run across Howard. And what a great guy Howard is. I have a lot of respect for him, beyond your average black belt, in my opinion. Reads Miyamoto Musashi books, carves his own weapons. What an awesome guy. But he was the same as Christy. He started off sitting there going, nah, that karate stuff's for my kids. I used to do it, but I don't want to. Eventually I got him to come on the mat and do it as a student. And then I said, you're really good at helping people. Maybe you should be an instructor. And no, I could never do what you guys do. I'll never forget he said that. I'm quoting him. And as we go along, all of a sudden he says, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Boy, am I glad he did. Howard is an awesome instructor. I can see it from the get-go. His attitude, his spirit as a martial artist, he is just great. And, as things go on at Truxel, I want to make sure it's clear that I will always teach martial arts. And that through martial arts, I want to help save the world.